Hello, and welcome to It's a Fandom Thing. I'm your host, Erin Marlowe, and each week I'm joined by a panel of guests to discuss all things fandom and pop culture, primarily from a female perspective. You'll find everything from fanfic, to cosplay, to Schitt's Creek, to Supernatural, and everything in between. So put on your favorite piece of fandom merch, set aside that fanfic that you're writing about your OTP, and sit back and enjoy this week's episode. Hello, and welcome to this special interview episode of It's a Fandom Thing. I'm your host, Erin Marlowe, and on this episode, I spoke with director-producer Rex Glensy, writer and executive producer Asad Moghal, and actor Jake Watkins to discuss Kevin's series of unfortunate events. Kevin's series of unfortunate events is part of an 8-episode series called Patterns. And Kevin's series of unfortunate events is about dating in the digital world feels nearly impossible. And for Kevin, it truly is. Kevin is a hopelessly earnest romantic whose optimism far outweighs his self-awareness. By day, he works as a school's online safety salamander. By night, he subjects himself to a relentless series of disastrous dates, convinced that persistence alone will eventually lead to love. And Kevin's series of unfortunate events will be playing at the 2026 Tribeca Festival, taking place between June 3rd and the 14th as part of the 2026 Indie TV Narrative Showcase. And there will be a link in the show notes for more information about that. But I hope you enjoy my interview with Rex, Asad, and Jake. Hi, nice to meet everyone. And I just want to say, first off, I laughed so much watching this episode. It was so well written and directed and acted and so entertaining. So congratulations to all of you.
You're so much.
You're welcome.
By the way, that never gets old to hear.
I bet. I did want to ask first, I wanted to start out I know, Asad, for you, your inspiration was a lot of your own real life dating disasters. And I'm wondering, through writing this and through also watching maybe Jake and watching the episode back, was there any kind of like healing or like looking at these things differently than you did before?
It was a sense of therapy, basically, writing this and seeing it act out. I was like, oh, I was kind of stupid when I was younger. Myself in these situations, which is, I think if I had a child, I would probably say, don't do this. This is the exact opposite of what to do in your life. But there was a sense of I had to laugh at the situation. Otherwise, I was going to cry. I mean, for example, that encounter where Jake gets locked in the house because the guy's energy ran out. That was my first encounter with a person. So the fact that that was my first, I don't know what that says about my life and what road that put me down. But that kind of, I'm glad to say it didn't set the tone for the rest of my love life. But yeah, it was therapy.
Well, you can only go up from there.
One would hope. Yeah.
And then for Rex and Jake, were there any of these moments that you related to or that like struck a chord of similarity for you? I'll ask Rex first.
No, I've had an incredibly successful day today.
All right.
Rub it in. Rub it in.
I couldn't relate to it less, actually. No, I mean, so from the personal level, yes, in a more abstract sense, is that I've always thought this in this sort of a sad state of affairs. Is that I've been on dates wondering whether I'd survive the date in a serious way, and therefore when Kevin finds himself either with the guy where he's locked in the room or where he's handcuffed behind his back. There is that sort of element of unsafety, which clearly should never be the case in any case when it comes to a date. So what I tried to do when that happened in my personal life was sort of to diffuse it with humor, and therefore as a director, that's what I attempted to bring to those particular scenes. Obviously, the one at the restaurant, that danger wasn't there, and the one with the teacher clearly also that wasn't there either. But the ones where you sense there could have been it going beyond the level of funny was to keep it within the realm of funny. So there was always a disarming thing that would happen, such as the mother walking in to diffuse the situation. So from my point of view, that's sort of how it related in my personal life.
Yeah.
How about you, Jack?
Well, how long have you got, Erin? Because if you want to talk about my dating life, we're going to be here a long time. I definitely related to it 100%. If you knew my dating life, you would know why. That was all child's play compared to what I've been through. It's funny about the mum walking in. It reminded me of, I have had to climb out of a window before. When I was a teenager, somebody's mum came home and I had to climb out a window. So there was that. And there have been several times I will be like, I will be real. Like, as Rex has said about fearing for your life on dates and stuff, there have been times where I'm like, is this a serial killer? Like, is this going to end bad? And it always just comes back to my toxic trait that I think they'll like me too much. They'll be like, they'll never kill me. They will like me too much. They'll be too endeared by me. They'll be like, I can't do shit. I can't kill Jake. So yes, I do relate to it, to answer your question.
They'll be like, no. I quit being a serial killer after meeting you.
Yeah, no, Jake's too kind. I couldn't. He's too sweet. He's too sweet.
Yeah, and it is amazing with the scene where the mom walks in, because in any other, I think media, we see a lot like, if you have queer characters or anyone in the community that might have turned into this horrible situation where we would have trauma. And even though there's like these horrible dates, I appreciated that there wasn't like trauma involved in this, where it was like, there's too much of that you see. Was that really important to you, Asad, in writing this, to have like kind of a relief from some of that trauma?
Yeah, I the way I kind of approach things, I don't see the separation of almost the sadness, the trauma, and the humor. I see kind of humor in everything, in every kind of situation. And I think a lot of people will say I'm a highly sarcastic individual in real life as well. I bring that to the way that I'm doing that. But I think if you don't have that kind of sense of, in a way, kind of deal with it, it can get too heavy. And I think you kind of need that tension and release. So for me, bringing that kind of ability to laugh at myself in that situation was a crucial element.
Yeah, and I'm sure, and I don't know if that was for you, Jake, as an actor, was it kind of, did you appreciate the fact that there was that humor in situations that normally might have been portrayed as very, very dour and depressing?
Yeah, definitely. I think that me and Rex have had this conversation before about how queer characters, sometimes it always comes with like heavy trauma and all this stuff. And sometimes it is just so nice to have a character that is queer and it's not a problem and it's not existing in a world where it's an issue or the whole storyline is about it being an issue. It's just, they're just existing as who they are. So I really did appreciate that with the character. And I think with, the humor and stuff that comes with that, I appreciate that as well, just because I love comedy and I just, I just enjoy acting out funny scenes. So
yeah, and even the teenagers weren't like cruel. And they were making fun of you because of the salamander thing, which was amazing.
Yeah.
It was incredible. And that's revealed. That was really, really good. So Rex, how is it different, like approaching, like directing, like television, and especially comedic television? Is there like something that is pretty essential to every episode that you direct, or?
That's actually an excellent question, and that's one I do not get often.
Oh,
so congratulations on that. The biggest difference between essentially directing television, directing movies is time. You have no time when you're directing television. So everything you saw, we shot in 3 days. It's the ability to get into the character and to get the take that you need. So even though he's a movie director, one of my inspirations as a director when it comes to how to direct is Clint Eastwood, who notoriously does one take. Now I don't have Clint's confidence, so I can't get away with doing that. But it's really the courage and sometimes the naivety to be able to move on to the next take, even though you're not entirely sure whether you've gotten what you have. It's really a tour de force to direct for television, given obviously the time constraints is obviously because of the money constraints, and there is no catch up days. So unlike in a film where you can tack things on at the end and do reshoots. I mean, the notion that a commissioning editor is going to give you more money to film more days in television, I think that's for the birds. So my main concern was, how do I get the performers that I need with the incredible script that I have and the incredibly talented actors that I have in the tiny time frame that I'm given to do that? And it's if it sounds that it's not an entirely artistic endeavor, well, that would be correct.
Yeah, and any kind of medium like film and television, I think, is just as collaborative as film. And I know a lot of people writers say, Asad, that in television you have much more control. I mean, as far as that goes, in film, it's known that, writers are kind of shoot away. So was that the case with this? Did you and Rex collaborate a lot, or how was that process for you?
I'm interested in the answer on this one.
So there was a fair bit of collaboration between Rex and I, kind of the whole series and what we were doing. What I will say is it was great working with Rex because there was also a lot of freedom in the way that I could work. So our process would very much be, I write the first draft generally within 2 to 3 days, because of the way that I work is I don't put pen to paper until I've had it all figured out in my head. And I always think of writers as we're actors who can't act, basically. So I'll have the voices going through, I'll go through the dialogue and say out loud to make sure it works. Then I'll get it down and I'll have it there. That then went over to Rex, who would do a kind of first draft kind of comment and suggested edits. I would probably say about 80% of your edits, I would say, okay. 20%, if I'm being generous, I'd be like, are you crazy? No, I've already thought about it. This is the reason why I've done this. So that would tend to happen. But generally would come back, I would do probably a second iteration. Very rarely would we need to do a third, and then it would go there. We work quite well when there's a separation. That's what I will say.
Yes. So what you're basically seeing, Erin, is second drafts. Generally, the process would be first draft, comments, second draft, finish. Asad should cover his ears now. I mean, when you have the benefit of the enormous talent that came my way through the writing, it really made my job very, very easy. I mean, I would be laughing out loud reading the scripts, which is, as you know, very difficult to do. And I would see it immediately. The visuals, and that's not because I'm some particularly great talent. It's because of the material I got was so good that, frankly, the way I saw it is if I just stood out of the way, it would flourish on its own. And then when you get the Jakes and the Ryan Sampsons and the Cecilia Nobles of this world to join in at the latter end of the process, I just saw myself as a traffic light more than anything else, telling them where they should go. And I mean, Jake can tell you, I don't really give much character direction. I mean, we talk about the character, but once we're on set, it's really the actors who bring it all to life.
And I will also say on that front, I'm one of the script writers that believe you have to, as a writer, see the script as a finished product for you, because what you will see on screen is not what necessarily is in your head, and that doesn't make it wrong. Jake brought an element to the character that I didn't envision, but it was better than what I could have envisioned it as. So to me, it's a separation, but it's brilliant. It's a great evolution of what could have been.
It's like letting go of that child, pretty much, that you created, and let
my
them
baby
grow.
has gone free. He's gone to college. Let him go.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams Memorial Day sale and get 30% off paints and stains May 15th through the 28th. Whether you're refreshing your interior or exterior, we've got the colors to bring your vision to life. And with delivery, getting everything to your door is easier than ever. Shop online to have it delivered or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details. Delivery available on qualifying orders.
And then, Jake, I truly believe that comedy does not get enough credit for how difficult it is and how amazing the performances have to be. And you were so great. So I'm wondering, when you're approaching comedy and you have to perform that and you have to hit those notes, what is your process there for being funny without trying to be funny?
For me, all of the comedy comes from character. And I think I put so much importance on knowing my character so well. And obviously with incredible writing like Asad's, that comes easy because you read the script and you're like, I know who this boy is. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's so clear who this person is. So that was easy. Like with the script, it was just super easy to act and super easy to, come up with the character from. With the being funny without not really trying, probably getting a little bit bullied when I was at school might have helped. To build up a little bit of resilience, I had to use humor. Yeah, I just think it comes from really knowing your character and kind of putting yourself in the situation that character is in. And obviously, you've got the comedy timing and things like that. And like, it's all like tone and how you say things. And if I'm honest, when I'm in character, I don't really think about, okay, this is going to be a funny line now. Because I think that can be a trap as well, where if you try to be funny, it doesn't work. I just think you need to trust the character, trust the situation, trust the writing, that it's all funny enough. You don't have to force it. If you know the character, if you know what's happening in the scene, it will come.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Yeah. Where you don't see the acting, you don't see the performance, you don't see that you're trying to be funny. And there are no cheap laughs in this. Also, I want to say, Asad, applause for that, because there's no like cheap humor here. And it's all very relatable humor. And I also think there's the physicality to it too, Jake, which I want to applaud you for, because just some of the way you would sit when you were wearing like this salamander outfit, or even after any date and you're sitting there and you're so like dejected looking. And also, you also had this hope in you. And so that added a lot to it. So then when those funny lines would come, either from you or from your co-stars, it worked because it felt very real. So applause for that.
Thank you.
So, you're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And so I'm wondering, Rex, did you have, and maybe Asad too, how was the process for casting this? Because especially like, I think everybody has such great chemistry together, whether it's friendship chemistry or romantic chemistry or potential romantic chemistry. How did that process work?
So we have a wonderful, wonderful casting director called Verity Norton. So a lot of the cast came through her. Some didn't. Some came through acquaintances of whether with mine or Asad, or recommendations from other actors who had already been cast. But in this particular episode of the series, Ryan Sampson is a big star here in the UK, and she recommended him. She said he would be great for the role. And again, when you're a small independent production like ours, you'd think, he's never going to do our show. So isn't this just a waste of time? She said, no. She said, don't ever think that. Actors look for great roles. They don't care about anything else. Obviously, they care to get paid.
Exactly. Yeah, careful.
Yeah.
We got a yes from Ryan immediately. There was no even back and forth and all of this. It was, he read the part. He absolutely wanted to do it. It was remarkable because his show on Sky, which he writes and stars in, had just been renewed, and he was filming it. And he took 2 days out of that to do this, which was we found remarkable. Cecilia, the same. I mean, Cecilia is very well known here in the UK. She was actually filming a Netflix show in Prague, which she flew back from Prague in order to do us. She was cast through Verity as well. The woman who plays the mother, actually, Fiona Allen. Asad, do you want to take that one? Because that one was a big surprise for me that she would do it.
Yeah, so Fiona's a comedy legend. So she did a show here called Smack the Pony, which was one of the first all-female sketch comedy shows in the UK, and she was one of the founding creators of that. So to get her was kind of a coup, and I don't think we actually imagined that either. But she was great. She was actually absolutely great and brought great warmth to the character as well.
Correct, and I asked her, when she came on set, I asked them all, why are you doing this? It's sort of a self-deprecation way of me getting through. Maybe that's my therapy. And she said, look, I get offered things all the time. And she said, honestly, it's all shit. And yet I read this and I laughed. I literally laughed at the reading of it. And I said, I have to do it. Even though, she was, her filming role lasted 2 or 3 hours. It was wonderful. So all of the kids also came through. The kids came through auditions. All of the kids. And I should add, maybe it's a slightly longer answer. What you're watching is episode 4 of an anthology comedy series. And so Kevin's Series of Unfortunate Events is the title of the episode. It's not the title of the series. The title of the series is called Patterns. And so this was all part of a much more global casting process where some of these characters don't just appear. So, for example, all the kids you saw appear in other episodes. Jake appears in other episodes. Ryan appears in other episodes. So Cecilia actually doesn't, and Fiona doesn't. And all of the dates. I'll just give you one thing about one of the dates. So one of the dates is one of my old teachers from high school.
Oh, really? Wow.
The teacher, I don't know if I should say this, I'll say it in this. I said to him, his name's Richard. I said to him, Richard, I always saw you as some sort of a perv. So do you want to play this role? he said, you know what? That's his dream come true. And I thought it was terrific. Probably the most intensely sad character we have. And he said to me, Rex, I don't want him to be a creep. I want him to be sad. I said, go with it. Go with it. Sad works. It's not an image of another character that we have. And the pathos that he brought out, it's sort of heart-wrenching a little bit. I mean, you could tell this is just a very lonely person. And that's how we cast him. But that he was casting him to himself. Someone who I'd known, I'm not even going to tell you how many years ago, but a long time ago.
Yeah, and that character, I would think, and Asad even writing it, and Jake even being in that scene, was probably the most tricky character. I would think, to make sure it wasn't coming off as predatory in any way.
Yeah.
Even though Jake is an adult, but even like putting the outfit on, and I don't want to give too much away. But so, how did you kind of do that line, Asad, and then Jake as well, performing in it of not crossing over into any kind of creepy territory?
Yeah, and I think that's such an easy line to cross. To me, when I'm coming up with the characters, the key element is what is the truth for that character. So I can't write this character from the perception of someone else. It has to be, if I am in this character's shoes, what are they trying to convey? Why are they feeling this way? What is the emotional core that is behind this character? So with that character of the teacher, what was the element of him wanting to do that? Where was he coming from? I had to find that. And then the dialogue came from there. And I had to go, okay, this is just a man reaching out for some form of kind of interaction, human element. So the way that I need to approach his dialogue needs to be from that. But it can't be, as you said, that predatory caricature, which would be so easy to go into. So again, that was so hard. It was probably the hardest character, I would say, for me to kind of write. Because of the element. And Jake, I don't know how you found that being in that scene.
I definitely found it was the scene that was like the closest to the mark, where it's like, this could really get a little bit dark here. This could get a little bit dark. But I think Richard did so well in the scene to play it as this man who maybe just wanted a little bit of companionship and wanted to feel a little bit nostalgic about the past. I don't think upon watching it that it does come across as predatorial. I think we definitely kept a lid on it and it worked. It was funny. No line was crossed, but it was tread. Yes. We were treading close to it. I enjoyed acting because Richard was just lovely and it was a really fun scene to do. And I think on set, like, nobody had the mindset like, well, this is a bit creepy. We were all just there like, this is funny. This is what it is. It's not weird. It's not creepy. So yeah, I think it was a fun scene to do. And I think we got it spot on.
And it helped that was the last scene we filmed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was. That was
the last that we did. And I will add, one of the things that we did to disarm, this is credit to the set designers, is the recreation of the typical English school lunches. That was what we were laughing about the most. The pink custard, the
Bad
the
pizza.
the decayed pizza.
The tray. The tray. I was getting flashbacks. I was like, oh my God.
What about the Capri Sun orange juice? I mean, we took incredible care that the detail is exactly what an English schoolboy growing up in the noughties would have experienced. And in fact, all of us there, even the ones who'd been to school earlier, was like, oh my God, this is exactly what it was like in school. And I think that sort of diffused tension and actually sort of helped characters on set never really get close to that line that you were talking about, because we agree at that point it becomes a different episode and not really one that we want to tell.
Yeah, and it would have ruined the whole everything. It would have just yeah. And as someone from the United States, it's typical. It was representative of that as well too. So that lunch too, a little bit, with the exception of a couple of things, but even that tray looked pretty familiar too. So that tray. And Jake, going to your acting partners in this, and especially Ryan and then Cecilia, what was that like? Did you have any? Because I know you're doing an independent thing, so you probably didn't have much rehearsal or any rehearsal. How did you both approach that? Did you have any chance to talk to each other about your characters, or did you just go right into it?
With Cecilia, I remember Cecilia was the first day of the entire anthology that we were filming. Was the first day, was that scene in the nurse's office with me and Cecilia. We didn't have much time to really talk about the character. We got straight into it. Rex was in there giving us, talking us through the scene. But she was just so easy to act opposite. I just think we bounced off each other so well. And I think a lot of making a scene work comes from the in-between, when the camera's off and before it goes on again. Just chatting and being with that person. I think that's all so important to build up that rapport. And she was just really easy to build a rapport up with. And I think we both came into it knowing who our characters were, knowing the scene. Obviously, the scene that has been written extremely well. So it didn't take much preparation with us together, really. It just happened.
Yeah, it was very natural. Like you could tell without having to say anything, like your relationship already and the dynamic there. And especially in all the different scenes, it almost was like, oh my gosh, I have to hear another dating story. And I love when she says, I have to just fight them all off. I don't know what you're talking about.
So good.
I thought that was a great line. And so then I want to talk about the salamander, because Asad, how did you write this character? And then the costuming and everything like that. So Asad, where did that come from?
So there's two elements I was going to say. So the tangible element is, I'm pretty sure no matter which school you go to, you have those disastrous plays about, no kids, don't do drugs. Be careful about your online world. That trauma still lives with me. That still is very much a part of my psyche. So I was like, I have to impart that. I have to impugn that from my kind of body somehow. So that was one way of doing it. The other is, I have no idea. It might be some element that lives in a nightmare somewhere, maybe. Maybe at night when I'm asleep, a salamander comes to me and tells me everything I've done wrong with the day, which is very much, could be a thing. It just felt right when I said Online Safety Salamander. I was like, yep, that kind of mixture of words. And so it came to be. And the costuming, we had a great costume designer on set and someone who was dressing the characters. And he found this, and when we saw it, like, yeah, okay, this is it. This is what it looks like. We don't want it to look too expensive. We don't want it to design. No, it's a British school. They don't have any budget. Something like that. Yeah, that's exactly what they would have.
Yeah, it looked like a parent would have sewn it together.
Yeah. I mean, I still have it. I kept it. Because I was like, at some point, I want to wear it.
The tongue is just...
Oh, yeah, that tongue just kind of hanging out, not really.
Can I also say that I don't think you really see it in the film, but it has padding on the bum. It gives you a big bum. Yeah, I was
really?
loving it. There's a video on my Instagram. Obviously, no one knew what I was filming. There's a video on my Instagram where I have it on. I turn to the side and I show like it's not a big bum. It's a salamander with cake. It's amazing.
There's a song there, Salamander with Cake.
Yeah. I love that costume. I'm just gutted that Asad's taken it back, to be honest. I wanted it.
I'll have to go find your Instagram and see that picture.
Yes, please do. Please do.
Yeah. And then lastly, I want to ask each of you, as much as you feel comfortable sharing, what did you learn about yourself as an artist through the process of writing this and making this? Asad, I'll start with you.
I have a sick sense of humor. I think that's probably fair. I'm pretty sure I probably knew that. But I think it's the thing that I really learned is people connect with things that you don't actually necessarily think they're going to connect with. So people finding heart in these characters was something I wasn't necessarily expecting because, as I always say, I'm dead inside. But it's quite nice to actually see that there is that element there that people are connecting with. So that to me was the big surprise.
And Rex?
For me, the process I found it particularly wonderful because I love to learn from the people I work with. I mean, the other two people here present might disagree, but I think I'm incredibly non-dictatorial in my on-set. And in a sense, maybe too democratic. I love to hear what other people have to say. I get people's opinions. And working with the actors, there isn't an actor, young, old, rich, poor, male, female, non-binary, that I haven't learned from. And so for me, growth of an artist, my growth is experiencing the work that other people bring to me that I'm just so lucky to experience in the very fortunate, privileged role that one has as being a director of a project. And I'm just incredibly grateful. And I just want it to continue.
Jake?
I think I learned that, it's quite tragic that I relate to this character and that my life is obviously just as tragic. I'm joking. I learned that really, really great things happen when you believe in yourself and you surround yourself with people who also believe in you. I know that's quite deep, but I think there's been times in like my acting career before, I think every single actor will say this. It's just a lot of self-doubt, a lot of like, oh, can I do that? But when you really believe in yourself, like amazing things can happen. I think with this project, I think I did learn that. And I think it was the turning point for me in terms of I've got what it takes.
Well, thank you all so much for answering that question and speaking with me. Really, I really, really enjoyed watching this. And like I said, I laughed like a lot watching it as well. So, and all the performances were great. So applause for all of you. And thank you again for taking the time to speak with me. I wish you all nothing but the best. So thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Much. Thank you, Erin.
You're
Lovely
welcome.
to meet you.
You too. Thank you again to Rex, Jake, and Asad for speaking with me about Kevin's series of unfortunate events. So please try and seek it out. And once again, you can find links to information about its world premiere at Tribeca during the festival taking place between June 3rd and the 14th in a link in the show notes. If you would like to be a potential interview guest on the show, please head on over to our website. It's afandomthingpod.com. While you're there, click the Contact Us button. That'll shoot me an email and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you again for listening and take care of yourselves.